to make it come alive, to make things show up and disappear and pages move and so forth. If you're not familiar with interactivity yet, oh, am I taping already?
Yeah.
Oh,
We
okay.
can.
Okay. Um, and if you're not familiar with interactivity, you will become it. So this is the way I see it is this restaurant menu is a vehicle for you to learn more in design skills, learn more publication design skills, move into interactivity, because ultimately the bigger and brand something, take something from the ground up and build it into something like you would a client if you were to get a new client and brand it. So for today's lecture, if you want to come back here yourself, if you want to steal this stuff, it's here for the stealing. Actually, let me talk about, well, all right, I'll go back to that. I have too many things on my mind. This is a link to my Dropbox because a long time ago, I took an online class. I actually got my master's online. Oh, this looks terrible too. We'll have to download this. And we had to create what was called an e-brochure. And an e-brochure is a brochure for a client on how to use their brand. And so we were given the parameters of everybody in the class, the same restaurant, really. If I had given you all one restaurant and you all had to brand it your way. And this is how we thought it through. And so to address your question, Kim, about your design brief, how do you present it, as a student, and I'm not saying this is right, okay? I'm not saying this is the only way. I don't want to do that in preview. I want to do that in Acrobat Professional. Quit that. What I found was all my classes ended up requiring the same thing of me. Everything always required a design brief, like process books on campus here, right? And so this is basically a process book. And so I developed a format that was branded to me because I'm the person they will hire to present my research. So my research is coming from me. I don't know what I'm going to find yet, to answer your question, just like you said. You don't know your brand yet. You're researching it. So why would you put it in the color palette of that company? And so like your design brief, you do market research. The company we were supposed to brand was something called Gallery Espresso. And so you do just what you just did. You profile the company. You figure out who the heck they are. You figure out who their target market is, where they're going to be located, what the reach is, visualize who it's going to be, and then find out who their competition is. Like Farmer and the Cook, they have, who's their competition? What other organic restaurants are there in the area? The closest one I know is like Mary's Secret Garden in Ventura. Do you know that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's two others in Ojai, but
What else is in Ojai?
it's like a in town.
Oh, that one on right past the arcade, that
Yeah.
vegan restaurant. What's that called?
Hip.
Hip? Okay. Yep, I've been there too. So find out who your competition is, what they look like, how you set yourself apart. The idea is you don't want to be doing the same thing, so you got to know who your competition is. And when you're creating this, find the logos of your competition so you know what you've got and stick them in there. You know, it's a little Google research for you guys. That's okay. It's not painful. You know how to do that. And if you go to their website, you'll get a feel for it. And then how do you wish to differentiate yourself from your competition? So Crystal Lee just told us her competition is the Empress Hotel. And how she wishes to differentiate it is she visualizes it and the people in Windsor, right, in that little town. So she wants to differentiate. What she really wants to bring is something she adores here. Really, that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
right? So her restaurant is something that probably doesn't exist here. She went to what she had high tea. Well, that's not a familial lineage on State Street. The high tea you might have to compare it to is the Four Seasons Biltmore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Or Baccara. That's more Empress level. Or you have to find something the caliber that you're talking about. And so then start to articulate your vision. And I was listening to Catherine articulate hers. She says, And I'm sure that she had these key words in there. Articulating your vision helps you come up with descriptive ways of saying something. And if English isn't your first language, write it in your native language. Start creating flourish. Start embellishing your vision of what your restaurant is, so you can get people to experience it, right? It's like when we played that little video of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, and the Guy Fieri's exclaiming about the food, and he had a million ways to get us excited about the food. You missed that, but you'll go there and play the little video. And so start to conjure up your language, the way you want to speak about something. You know, Crystal Lee already used a word I'm not familiar with, which was that.
Belle Époque?
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Well, I don't know whether I'm saying it right. I
Okay.
know I'm saying French right, but I don't
Right.
know whether that's actually what I'm thinking
Right,
of.
okay. So it's a new language, and that's already, I don't know if I'm going to be let into your high tea restaurant because I can't
Right.
speak that language. But you see what I mean? Start conjuring it up, and then start understanding what you would do to market it. This is carrying it further, and you're required to do what's in your design brief. This is carried further. What I wanted to show you is ways that you start to create mood boards. We have a Pinterest page for the class. Remember I showed you the password? You know, if you find something that you're poking around on the internet and you see something that is so Farm and the Cook or is so high tea, put it on the Pinterest page. Let's share our ideas for one another and be resourceful and supportive of one another. And so back to your question, Kim, this was my format for how I did everything. One of the things, how many of you are not familiar? How many of you are, let's start with who is, familiar with paragraph style sheets? One of you? 4 of you.
Oh, style sheets.
You got to go high, you guys. I can't see this thing. Okay, not many of you. Everything I do with paragraph style sheets and InDesign. If you don't know paragraph style sheets, but you know InDesign, teach it to yourself immediately. Everything has a style sheet. In other words, every time I type this word, I don't have to typeset it in red. I hit a button and it turns red, that size, that space. Every time I hit a subhead, it goes black, it indents, it's that font, that face. And that's a paragraph style sheet. And then if I decide for my client that I create research for that I don't want it in red, I go to my paragraph style sheet, I take one thing that says, take that red and make it blue, and universally an entire book will change. So paragraph style sheets are important. If you don't know them, write a note, and if you can't figure out how to grab them, John and I will help you get resources to learn them, okay? And then start conjuring up images. So these are what your competitors look like. What are you going to look like? What's your color palette going to be? A lot of you are doing your type studies, you're keeping track of it, that's perfect. Consider not just the font for what you might use for a logo, because you might wish to hand draw your logo, right? You know, you might wish for Farmer and the Cook to draw a logo that looks like entwining vines. And if you're an artist, that might just be thrilling, like Jack and the Beanstalk vines curving around each other. And maybe you find that font online, and maybe you draw part of it or something. Because it's a logo, it's going to scale up and down. You're not going to, once you create a logo, it's art. So it might be worth it to not use a font. But the font you might decide is, what font will I use for my menu? What's going to work with my logo? Start making those studies, okay? And your design brief's going to morph. And if you're doing something to elevate it and make it better, you just keep going at it, because, you know, if you're into grades, you keep going at it, because I notice these things. John and I pay close attention to everything getting elevated. And then start to visualize what it's like to show up there. What's the color palette of the space? What does it feel like to be there? What's the shapes? What's the texture? What's the rug? Is there a rug? Is it hardwood floors? Is it old cracked linoleum? Is it Italian glass? What's the signage outside? What do the dishes look like at the restaurant? I mean, start grabbing these so you create a vision. And then what textures are there? I created this, I'm going to pull this up right now because it's a good spot. I got hired by the Four Seasons Beverly Wilshire Hotel to create a menu for their dining room. And I say it like that because it's like the Empress Hotel hiring me to do a menu. I don't know how I got so lucky. And I was actually startled because they had the worst marketing I'd ever seen. It was a Four Seasons Hotel. They had a restaurant that, you know the phrase, there's no there. You know that phrase? Like you go and you expect it to be a something, and it's like a, are you kidding? And so they had a dining room called, what do you think it was called? It was called the dining room. And serious, the dining room. And you walk into this big room and it's very lovely. I mean, it has white tablecloths, and the Four Seasons Hotel Beverly Wilshire is world famous. People will go there. I remember my grandmother took me there as a kid. The Four Seasons Beverly Wilshire. Oops. Wilshire. And what it's known for, let's see what the images are. What the place is known for, it's very grand, like the Empress Hotel. It's on Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills. And what it's famous for is this image to me. They have these little, they have beautiful arch windows, a very ornate facade, and they have these rounded awnings. And that's what sits over every window. That's Wilshire Boulevard. That's like saying Fifth Avenue for New York. Everybody knows that, right? Okay.
Is that the one that's on Rodeo Drive?
It's where Rodeo Drive meets.
I stayed there before.
Okay.
Yeah. It's nice.
Yes. And they have an old part of it and they have a new part of it. This is the old part of it. So I got hired. Actually, this is a perfect example. Actually, it's a perfect, look at that. Okay. So this is the lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel. And that's what it feels like. So it's opulent. And let's see. I think I won't even find pictures of it anymore. I'm not even going to go there with this. I was going to Google the restaurant, but the restaurant doesn't exist anymore. It got taken over by something Wolfgang Puckish. And, but this is what the restaurant, actually the inside of the restaurant looks like. Oh, oops. All right, I don't want to make a reservation. But you can see that. That's good enough. And it's generic to me. It's nice, it's lovely, but it's nothing that is exciting. I walked into a restaurant in New York, got taken to a Mexican restaurant in New York, and we walked in the front door of this restaurant, and just visualize this. I'm a swimmer, so you'll understand how exciting this is to me. And the restaurant's 3 stories high. You walk through the glass doors of this restaurant, and 3 stories high, there is a wall with a sheet of water coming down it. That's not the good part. The good part is spaced perfectly symmetrically in, like, if I were to describe a grid of, let's say, 1 foot apart, 1 foot apart, of this wall that's 12 feet wide by, what's 3 stories high? 30 feet high? I don't know. Yeah, why not, right? And there's divers in this pose doing a swan dive, mounted on this wall while the sheet of water is gushing over them. So being a swimmer, loving water, I was in awe. So in other words, I walked into this restaurant, this Mexican restaurant, and it created a moment for me. And when you have a restaurant, even if it's, you sit down and it's like, oh, mac and cheese and the cheese is bubbling over, you've still got that feeling, right? Different levels of that feeling. But what is it about your restaurant that's going to create that feeling, and how do you, the person who creates the brand, communicate it through the work you do? That's why I'm saying it's not just a restaurant menu. So when I met with the marketing guy for the hotel, I'm like, well, does your restaurant have a logo? No. Does your restaurant, what do you want your menu to do? They were very specific. They wanted a menu cover that was a cover. They wanted a menu that they could slip inside and print every single day for their specials, so it wasn't pre-printed. They wanted a menu that was durable, but not those big heavy kind that are made out of vinyl that go, that look generic with that little window cut out with a little brass plaque. You know what I'm talking about. Those are tedious nowadays. So we created this menu, and they had nothing there that was special. So we started by creating a logo, and their logo was the archway of their windows, which was seen from all the walls of the restaurant, and the awning outside their windows, which were all red, always red. And then the only signature thing they had in this restaurant, the only thing that was consistent that looked like something to visualize, oh, I guess I got to come back this way, was they had flower centerpieces that were always monochromatic and multi-level. So one day they'd be white, one day they'd be red, one day they'd be yellow, one day they'd be this. And they had this beautiful tapestry upholstery that they were really proud of, that they were recovering everything with. And so I took photographs of the tapestry upholstery, and that's what it looks like. And that's what it looks like in reverse. It's real subtle. You can't see it up here. I'll pass it around. And then we created a flap here, a curve, to put the menu under. So this menu cover is printed, offset printed this side, matte laminated, glued onto a piece of cardboard, offset printed this side, matte laminated, glued onto the other piece of cardboard that's in the middle, scored, so we know where to fold it. You dent the paper, that means scoring. You fold it, and it has die-cut corners, but it also has these little die-cut flaps here and here, which there's also die-cut flaps down here. So when they glued that paper that got printed here, they couldn't glue the flaps, right? So it was a hand-done glue job. Each of these menus was like, oh, I don't know, they were like at least $10 a piece. And they're not perfectly durable. They're wipeable. You can clean them so you don't want fingerprints on them and stuff like that. And I think that these little flaps probably, had I thought more about it, we didn't have a lot of choice. We didn't want to do a metal clip. You didn't want to do this. But to slide the paper under, I bet these things started to get worn out, right? But anyway, the reason why I show you this is you have to think about what your menu is printed on, what it's going to look like, what it entails, what it involves, and each of you is going to develop a different approach. And you're going to have to know how to set up your publication files for what it is you visualize. So, back to capturing the vision here, which is this PDF file. And as Catherine was talking about, she used the words warm, sophistication, and non-traditional for her Farmer and the Cook restaurant. That's what she said when she was talking to us. So I would suggest that you start writing words down that are descriptors of what your restaurant is. So you start conjuring it up. And then when you do logos, I will not make you do this. We had to do 100 logo roughs. 100. You know how hard it is to come up with 100 logos? I thought, are you out of your mind? And the concepts were, is it an outdoor cafe? What kind of experience are you creating? The concept between this one was, there's nothing more intimate than meeting with a friend, sitting across the table from them and sharing a cup of coffee and having that experience. That's what we really cherish about going to a restaurant, is the intimate moment we're having with somebody. Or is it about the environment around us and we're like having a little bird's eye view of it? The Gallery Espresso part of it is it's a coffee house, but it's also a gallery. And do you want the place with people in it? Do you want the place with people not in it? I'm not saying any of these logos are good or bad or whatever. This is just to give you an idea of how you present stuff. And then the idea that it's a gallery, well, what does it feel like? And if you change your fonts but keep your image, what do you end up changing? Now, this, for example, when you're doing your thumbnails, this is really what a thumbnail should look like, okay? A thumbnail should consider positive, negative space, right? Doesn't have to be perfect, but positive, negative space, umbrella, table, coffee cups. Consider point of view. If your perspective is Gallery Espresso is where you go and you journal all day and sip one cup of coffee, what's your point of view? Is it the point of view from the bird sitting on the edge of the umbrella? Is your point of view of the person face to face with you? Is the point of view of straight down into the coffee cup? I actually, if you're interested, I can show you many other people's takes on this. This is the only one I have permission to use. And the rings then become some contemporary abstraction of rings of coffee, but it also becomes an abstraction of contemporary art like Kandinsky, Wassily Kandinsky. Do you all know who he is? Where he did all those circles and did, all the geometric designs. And then if it's a gallery, does it play music? Does it have art? Is it about coffee? And if it's a gallery, does your logo now focus on gallery space, or is it focusing on the food space? Or do you take, stereotypic mug, or do you go from, I don't know, I think I ran out of ideas there. I don't even know what I was thinking. And then your logo doesn't have to be a logo type. It can be art. I think that was maybe beans, grinding the beans or something. I did like my phrase espresso yourself, though. That was kind of fun. But, you don't have to be good at it. But putting your thoughts down on paper is valuable. And if you choose to show that to a client, great. If you choose not to, it's really valuable for you to chronicle your process. But notice that all these pages are completely consistent, the type's consistent, and that way, I started to hone in on what I like best. Okay, so now this is what I chose. I found a font that worked. I played with color palettes, what it'll be, reverse, color, different type. And I think this is pretty much where we get to. But this is what I wanted to show you for chronicling your process. Because once you've created a format for chronicling your process, you'll have it forever. And to come back to your question of, what do you show? How would you set this up? You're right. The brand isn't now, the brand isn't your client yet because you're thinking it through. You're researching. You're doing market research. A design brief often is really the scope of work also. The design brief is you're going to create a menu. How many menus are you going to create? What's your budget? You have no budget. Your budget is that we're rich as all get out and we could do anything on the planet. We could have somebody dressed in a tie come carrying a whiteboard, in front of you and with their white gloves reading, the menu to you. That could be your menu, right? You could do whatever it is you want. But thinking through your brand is the important part. Okay, does that help you? And you can all download that if you want. Not that I really want you to, but you can. We talk a lot about the creative process. All of you, I don't know if anybody else would like to share their design brief. Would you like to share yours?
No.
Who would like to share their design brief and get feedback? Okay, Caroline. Okay, I'm going to pause this right there. Try and get your design brief for you since you probably don't know how to pull it up here, which will be here. Oh, because it's student view, I don't think I'm going to be able to return to my normal role. Let's see. View submissions. And do we see you? No? Yes? Next page. Caroline. And here we go. So, and it downloads it. And we'll close that. And you're going to show up in the downloads folder. Is that you? Yeah. And it's opening with preview, unfortunately. Okay. Let me do that differently. There you go.
Should we always print whatever we're making?
Pardon me?
Should we always print our assignments?
No, you don't need to. I'm kind of winging this. Okay? No, you don't need to print them. The fact that they were printed is advantageous. But what I'd like you also to do for us right here is find the place that you visualize so we can create the vision of it too while you talk about it. And we'll look at Google images of it. You're going to have to put your city, right? Or do you know where this is? Because you said it's back home.
Yeah, it's back home in my city in Norway.
Uh-huh. So let's see if it'll show up. There it is.
I
On
have to
Yelp?
go to the images.
Yeah. Is that it? You're going to make us hungry, right?
Yeah, I can go in on them after a little while.
Okay.
images.
And if you go to Acrobat Professional, that'll bring up your PDF file.
Because what is really funny about this assignment is that I was at this, it's more like a cafe, but it also have food and bakery like cupcakes. I was at this cafe for like 1 year ago,
Uh-huh.
and I really like this place because it's so different from everything else back home. It's got so much different interiors, so it's different rooms with different interiors, but it's very sweet and girly.
Uh-huh.
The reason why I think this assignment is so funny because when I was there, I was thinking I want to do something about the menu because the menu was so boring.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
And
when
the place was so fun.
yeah, exactly, and also it's very. I can go to my. How do I get back to this?
So at the bottom, you'll
There
see
it
a little icon that looks like Acrobat Professional for your design brief. Do you see it? Oh, yeah, that's good. No, don't do that because it's already open. Oh, did we quit? Oh, yeah.
I just clicked
yeah,
it, but
just
I-
what you did. Just exactly what you were doing up above. Yes, exactly what you did.
Okay, sorry about this.
The browser might be on full screen or something.
Yeah, you can close,
Okay.
minimize the browser if you want help with that.
Yeah, I do have a Mac, but it doesn't work like the same.
Well, you know
I'm
what?
so sorry about
No, that's okay. Well, the awful part is being the instructor and not knowing what the heck you're doing up here. Trust me. And no, something moved. Well, let's just do this. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yeah, it's kind of screwy. I don't blame you. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Maybe we should bring food from our restaurants as the final food.
How do I make this?
How do you move your pages? We lost our menu on there.
Yeah, I just want to take a zoom out a little
Hit
bit.
Command 0. You want to show your whole page in there? Command and then 0.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Okay, so I did what you just talked about. I used their logo already in my design brief. Just to,
And is it their logo or a logo you
That's-
created?
that's their logo
Their
that they
logo,
already have.
okay.
But I wanted to make like a style for this design brief. That's why I just chose this. So yeah, I'm just telling about that I was there already and I saw the menu and I felt like it's not showing off how this restaurant is or this cafe. They started with having really good cupcakes, but they also have lunches served in a beautiful way. So I really love the concept. So these are the owners. It's a couple and they opened it back in 2010. And from then it's been really good, going really good. Here you can see the interiors that's already there. So I would like to take some from that and use it in a menu. I'm going to show you the menu. Yeah. These are the photos of the menus. Maybe
Which
should
is
have been
horrible,
really good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so plain and boring and nothing like the real cafe. So these are the photos I took for 1 year ago. So I just found them now for this assignment. And I think it was really funny that now I had the chance to do something about it.
Right.
They have lots of, it's quite healthy, the lunch menu, but then you have the cupcakes.
Right.
So it's like contrast. It's something fun to work with. And now I just use the.
So I see you pull color palettes. Did you pull your color palettes into Kuler and then use the photo to create the color palette?
Yeah, I use the photos from the cafe that I borrow on the internet.
Right.
And as you can see, the marks, choosing the colors for me. So I think it was a funny way to do it.
Does everybody know that in Kuler you can upload a photo to
Do you have
get
an
the color
app too?
palette?
You can use it on your phone.
Yes, in the app. Yes.
Nice.
Yes, John.
You can also use Kuler right out of InDesign.
Right.
It's part of InDesign, but you can't upload a photo from InDesign. You have to go to the website to do
Right.
that.
But you'll learn all that when you do that magazine layout. I mean the restaurant layout assignment.
Yeah, and I didn't do so much hard work about the fonts yet because, as you said, I want to try and create something on my own.
Right.
So that's why I didn't do so much research on the fonts yet. But you get the, you can see it's almost fairy tale like.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll use some of that when I do my logo, but I have not decided so much yet about that. And here you see the plates of the food they are serving.
Uh-huh.
I borrowed this from their own website. Yeah, and the clientele is very pink, and feminine, so it's mostly girls and newly made mothers. I don't know what you call it.
Uh-huh.
New mothers.
New mothers.
They often gather together and go there. And sometimes some families, young
Uh-huh.
families, and mostly women and girls. They
Uh-huh.
love to go there. Yeah, and I also found some inspiration while I was out in Santa Barbara that I think I maybe want to use. It's a card. It has like cupcakes on a plate.
Oh, where'd you find that?
I can't remember the name.
Oh, it's a
of the store.
pop-up card, like a mailing card.
Yeah.
Okay, so you like the idea of a pop-up experience.
Yeah, because it has already something to do with what I was thinking. So
Okay, so you want your menu to have a pop-up experience.
maybe.
Okay, so that's fantastic. That's ambitious, which is fantastic. I have a pop-up book I'll bring to class for you, which teaches you how to make pop-ups. And the best way to do it is to dissect, is to tear apart the pop-up to figure out how it's created. So it's beautiful. Get inspiration from everywhere. Beautiful. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, I don't know what more to say.
Does anybody have questions for Caroline about, it looks like you covered all the bases of the design brief. Does anybody have questions or everybody gets a vision for it, right? Don't images help support you have a vision for it? That's why you yourself have to grab images of the restaurant you want to create for. You know, just carry it as far as you can. It's great to do. And formatting the way that we've shown these design briefs, formatting them that way, if you just stay consistent with it, that's terrific. Okay, does that help you understand kind of how to, the idea is not to make you do more work. The idea is to set something up so once you do it, you can apply it everywhere. Okay, anybody else want to share theirs? Yeah, Alessandra, we'd love for you to. Do you want to pull yours off
Yeah.
out there? John, do you mind helping him pull it up, or you want me to? I'll do it. Let's pull yours down. Do you have a real restaurant too?
No. Just want suggestions for kind of like the menu, how it goes. 'Cause I don't know how to do it.
Oh, you want suggestions? Is that what you just
Yeah.
said? Here you are. Okay. Let's pull yours and open it. There you go. Okay. Look at you all. What beautiful submissions everybody has.
Yeah, so this is my like I wanted to create a new business, a new restaurant that was kind of like combining crafts like art, painting, photography, and drawings, all of that. So I thought about colors and I heard about like, I don't know here, but in Italy we have like lots of restaurants that are using colors as like brushes and stuff. So I wanted to create something similar to that and bring it here to Santa Barbara. Or
So do you have a restaurant in Italy that you could visualize?
oh, what about this restaurant? It's called Coloribo. It's not like let's go. They made like a magazine where you can find all the recipes and stuff, and it's all painted. So it's really fun because they use like colors for um, they create recipes with just one color, or they combine them. So it's really fun for art and stuff. So I thought of,
Do you eat it? It looks like they're painting with the food. But you
yeah, you eat it. It's like cream, like a
Oh.
mousse or something. So I wanted to do something like that, and for this reason, I searched about like the name. I thought about the ancient Greek name for that. That was chroma, that means color. And as I said, would be settled here in Santa Barbara, so I would use like homemade and grown from farmers and growers products. For the color palette, I searched about the restaurants and how they use this color to make menus. They mostly do like a menu for each day with different colors. So they put like red for, let's say, I put like yellow for the first day, so Monday, because it gives you like energy. So I search about all the meanings of colors and stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so as you can see here, I made like a little menu with Monday with yellow, and Tuesday orange, and Wednesday green, Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But I didn't. I don't know if it functions like that, or I don't know, because I wanted to create like something that people could pick the things, could pick colors to create their own food.
Oh, uh-huh.
But maybe they will be too complicated. I don't know.
Well, so it's either each day of the week has that color palette of food,
Yeah,
or you could have a menu where you could have different color palettes of meals,
yeah.
right?
I was thinking about just having meat and fish as the stellar ones, and then just pick random like colors and stuff from like customers. And other than that, the food was correlated to art and painting and photography. So each day there will be like an exhibition or a gallery of art, and also of music from the local artists.
Uh-huh.
And that's pretty much that, I think. Yeah, just fonts. And I have already an idea for the logo, since it's a color and it's a frequency. What about like written frequency with a painted brush,
Uh-huh.
and that would be my logo, I think. And or maybe have like the menu with wood palette. I don't know how you call it for the
Uh-huh.
paintings. You know,
Palette.
where you put
Uh-huh.
the color,
Yeah.
like the cover of it, or I don't know.
Oh, so the cover of the menu is shaped like an artist palette,
Yeah, maybe.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Yeah, it's
which
pretty
is
much
kind of
that.
a traditional shape, right? Do you guys think that? Like the artist palette shape is kind of traditional, and the restaurant itself sounds kind of contemporary, don't you think?
Yeah, I wanted to have something contemporary, but still like classic and traditional.
Yeah. Um, you had pictures of the food at that restaurant, but you didn't have pictures of the restaurant itself.
No, there are not many restaurants like that. So
So, do they present their food on pallets also?
yeah, I can, let's see. I can This is the side. No, it's just explaining how it works.
Oh, right. And so your menu might have to explain how it works, because we wouldn't automatically know it. It's not just we
Yeah.
open a menu and point. We'd have to build our color meal, right?
Yeah, I was thinking about the sample that you put out last week about the hamburgers and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? Oh, the build a
With
meal.
the
Yeah.
veggies. And
Yeah. You might want to start grabbing environment for your restaurant. My guess is your restaurant's going to be white
yeah, I was
with
thinking
canvas
like
chairs,
a wood.
right? Canvas upholstery.
That's why I picked the. Before this was the background was all white
Yeah,
with a wood white
yeah,
texture,
yeah.
and then I put like on Photoshop a little color with
Yeah.
a
Yeah,
brush.
nice. Yeah, this is beautiful. You got anybody have comments or feedback or questions for Alessandro? See, that's really thinking really creatively. I mean, you're creating a place, and whether you become a graphic artist or not, you're showing all kinds of things. You're showing business development in doing this, right? You're showing how to create community by a certain population of people you're going to gather together. You're doing marketing by how you wish to communicate and brand them. You know, there's the extent of this is much larger than just the graphic design parameters of it. That's wonderful. That's great. Great start. Anybody else want to share theirs? No? All right, then let's move things forward a little bit. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you all for sharing it. As you come to know me, you'll realize I'll call on you, whether you're ready or not. So being prepared is good. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but I want everybody to have the opportunity. Alessandro, don't forget this. I want to make sure you have as much feedback as you can. Here, what you showed me today, let's log into Pinterest. Gee, I can remember that, can't I? Let's go to Pinterest. And let's go here. And let's log in with this email. Was it all lowercase? Did you guys notice? Okay, so here's the page for this class with beautiful restaurant menus. And this weekend when I was poking around with restaurant menus, I came across, where's the one I added? Look at that, for your Empress Hotel.
That's pretty.
I came up with one that was recipes. Oh, look at that. That looks like the Chinese menu one we were talking about with the folding. What you have to start thinking about is what they print on and how they print. Maybe it's at the top because I just added it. It was a restaurant menu that had the recipes on every page for the food that was being eaten. And look at that chroma picture. That looks like that wash look you had. Oh, this is it, I think. Yeah. So this is a restaurant menu, but it also looks like a cookbook, right? So for Farmer and the Cook, wouldn't that be fun?
I think that's one that I was looking
It-
Pinterest.
oh, is that
Not
right?
on here, but
You
it's-
found it somewhere. Yeah, it's beautiful. There's a link. I think I made us a follower of somebody who's posting. Yeah, I see. Here's this one. That's what I did. Who I made us a follower of some site that's all about menus. And again, it's about how the food's going to be styled and how you're going to show it and what the type is and what the legibility is. Your job as a graphic artist is to think about the materials, the paper you print it on, how it's protectively coated, what your color palette is, where the photography comes from if there is any, how your logo is going to be used and reused. And to carry this further for you, like that burger menu I showed you the other day, once you've gone to all this trouble to create a brand, to end up, actually, if I come back here to this, and I come back to, where were we? Like, let's try page 50 and see where we're at. Once you've started designing something, I'll get there, and you started designing, for example, the logo, you all know at this point how to make business stationery, right? And the only reason I bring that up to you is if you're taking a portfolio class following this, or you want to create a complete brand, how hard is it then for you to take a logo and a color palette and a family of fonts that you've already defined and turn it into a stationery package? It's not hard, right? Or once you've defined a logo, how hard is it to you to turn it into, what I want to say, branding for mugs or for aprons, or here we go. Go find a set of cups and put your logo on it so you look like you've made package design, right? Or to create napkins for your restaurant, or to create a bag for your coffee beans, or a bag for sending home presents. The only reason, it's not required of this assignment, but I want you to think bigger so you've created a complete brand for yourself as you go to all this work. Okay? Does that help you think that? All right. So poke around on Pinterest. If you find other good ones to look at, add them. That'd be great. Or share them. And let me come back. We're in week 2. So this week, what you're going to do is you're going to finish that restaurant assignment here, this one. And for this week, you're going to read the articles that are available to you. Let me view this as a student so we don't have clutter in the way. Did I miss it? Here. There we go. Complete your design brief if you haven't. Feel free to leave your old brief there and update it if you want to improve it or you think you got more inspiration or something. Do that. This is the criteria for how I evaluate your design brief. So read through it and just stay in this category and exceed it. All right? Exceed it. That's all.
Did you say that we could re-upload? if
Sure,
we
you could
wanted to?
re-upload.
When we get-
And write me a note that says I re-uploaded. For the most part, I'm pretty clear where you're at today for most of you. I know who's uploaded and who hasn't. Or what you could try is re-upload a new one and call it new. I have a pattern when I save my files, which is this. When I save a file, I go to File, Save As, and I date everything like this. I would date it as today. And then if I have a new one, I'd keep it the same name and I date it for tomorrow. And I date it for, a week from now, right? And that way it could be the same file name, but then they become listed numerically and we know what version you're on. If you type V3 and then you type V.3 or V-3, it doesn't align. But if you get this pattern of dating everything for yourself, just find your pattern, whatever it is.
And I'll know what your most recent one is. John will know your most recent one. Make sure your name's in it, like Alessandro did. Put your name in it, design brief, and actually I'd put an underscore here, and that would be like an ideal way to name it. That'd be great. We know who you are. We know when you did it. We know what it is. That would be ideal. Okay? I just want to make sure we've got everything covered. Now you're going to start to work on print menu thumbnails, which apparently look just awful on this screen. Everybody, I don't want 2, I want 3 at minimum. And what I do suggest you do, like let's say you decide that you want a menu that's folded. Let's say you have a restaurant and it's called junk food. And that's the menu that goes on the table because it's just garbage, right? Enjoy your garbage food. Fried French fries, sloppy burgers, and that's your menu, right? How funny would that be? You know, it's like when you go to some restaurants and there's a waiter or a waitress and they talk back to you, right? What's that?
They have one in San Diego, I think it's called like Dips or something.
Okay, there you go.
They are.
Appropriately named,
Yes.
right? Exactly. Okay, there was one in Beverly Hills, I think it was called Ed DeBevick's. Is that right?
Yeah.
And they'd be like, all right, what do you want? Oh, you can't decide. Oh, we're going to go to her now. Okay, do you know what you want? All right. Really, you want to put ketchup on that? Really? Are you sure? How those jeans fit you? Right? And, I mean, they're just plain old rude, and that's part of the thing. But, so if your menu design is this, make this, photograph it, and put it in there as one of your brainstorming ideas. And then open it up and start writing on it. You know, who knew that I would think of this as a good design, right? But start making paper prototypes if you want pop-ups like your cupcakes. Start cutting and figuring it out. Because if you had, or maybe you decide that you're going to have a book that's folded, 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 and it's got spiral binding, right? And it's the shape of a cupcake, die cut like a cupcake. Cut it out, make a prototype, and photograph it. We all have phones that have all these, you know, capabilities. So start brainstorming as generously as you can. And I'm gonna, you know, we're capturing these videos to remind us. Because the course was set up, I know that I keep embellishing it. I will stick to the parameters of the rubrics that you see for grading you, but I will do as Will says and gently encourage, strongly, to improve and improve and improve, because I just want you guys to just do amazing things. For those of you who are not very familiar with InDesign, get started on it. Just get started. Try and get the mechanical stuff of this under your belt, okay? I'm going to stop talking. What I would like to do is use the rest of the class. If it's clear, let's just review what we're going to bring in next week. What you will bring in next week, we're going to discuss, so let's look at staying on schedule. So for next week, we're going to look at your thumbnails. So, bless you. So bring thumbnails to class next week. Let's start looking at those. Let's see whatever you've roughed out of your menus. If you haven't brought a design brief in, bring it in. Start bringing in things that, you know, that we can share. My guess is some of you are going to come up with super cool ideas that you're not going to know how to turn into a publication. You know, if you haven't ever made something die cut into a shape before, you might need help setting that up. That we're going to need class time to discuss how to do. So the more tangible you bring things in, the more we can support you. And I came across this and I got incredibly enamored with it, which is the law of page harmony, which is basically how publications are created through grid layouts. So you don't need me to read something that you could read on your own, but it's super duper cool. And there's a link there to a PDF that's interactive that shows you how this rule, okay, never see this again, that shows you how this rule of page design and grid layouts came about, which is
something I'd love for you all to take a look at. And the link for it, let's come back to the home page here. I think I put the link right here. Here. So this PDF is really cool. And so it takes a contemporary layout, and then as you go to the next page, it shows you how that grid to that page was applied to create it. And it's what they found ancient books, you know, like the first books were designed with. So I'll let you read it a little bit on your own. So any questions about anything about what to come back with for the menu? If you're confused about the schedule, just go to the Staying on Schedule. It'll help you. Look for your assignment deadlines and uploads. Did we miss anything? No? Is that good? All right. And I'll continue to update stuff, so keep on looking. So hang around. You know, you're welcome to work on your work. We didn't get to the conversation about digital versus print, but we will. John and I disagree wholeheartedly. He thinks paper is dead. And there's actually a publication saying, is paper dead? And the answer is absolutely not. They find that people, by the way, nowadays, are reading more print publications, and you're able to charge more for a print publication because it's a specialized audience. So if you're buying a magazine off a shelf, it's because you really want it. If you're swimming around on the internet, that's a different conversation.
You still shoot horses too.
Yeah, okay. So John and I will forever disagree. And if you need help getting set up, did you learn from lynda.com before we leave? Do you want to come up and discuss what you learned about?
I sent a notice out about it. In fact, everyone should have it by now.
Okay, which means it's under announcements or Q&A.
Q&A.
So lynda.com says, you got nothing special. You can get a month-to-month premium account, which lets you have everything, but you pay for the full load of the premium account, which was like up in $100 range or something.
No, it's, I believe $35 a month.
Oh, $35 a month gets you everything.
Right.
Okay. So if you're willing to do $35 a month for this course to have access to all of the videos and all the download files, that's what you would do. If you just want to be downloading just these 5 assignments and take your luck at Googling things, that's your other option.
I would recommend that you do that, by the way.
There's a lot of resources out there, so you can always sign up for the bigger picture later. And then the other thing is don't neglect to look at all the resources out there for you. There are zillions and zillions of resource, menu examples. I think I put this page up. Maybe not this one. There's one, there's tons of menu examples. Go to the Pinterest pages and you'll find incredible resources. There's also a article, if you didn't read, 11 Psychological Tricks for Restaurants, how they fool you into ordering the way you want, like when you get 2 size portions, large or small, and they make far more money on the small portion than they do on the large portion, but they want the price not to be very different, so they kind of force you towards the small. That's really what they want you to order. It's interesting, right? So read through this. I found it really interesting. The way they visually highlight something, they feature it. When they have those little asterisks next to things or what it means, little symbols. Anyway. Anything else on anybody's mind? Okay. Then I will look forward to seeing everybody. I'll look forward to seeing everybody on Tuesday, okay? And if you need help